Welcome. I would like to welcome you to another episode of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. And if you would do me a favor, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so, anything will help. But here's where we'll start. So the biggest bombshell, the biggest news that we got happened yesterday, actually, which was the Patriots releasing Cam Newton. Now, this is cut week. What cut week pretty much is in the preseason and the offseason, a team pretty much gets as many players as they can. Teams usually have like 75, 80 players. And for cut week, you pretty much have to cut your roster down to 53 players. And, you see a lot of, because, like I said, teams have 75, 80 players on their team, there's going to be players that get cut. So Cam Newton, who, of course, was the quarterback for the Patriots, was one of those casualties. And let's talk about it for a second. So the Patriots draft Mac Jones, and Mac Jones, of course, went to Alabama. I think they drafted him like 15th. He fell all the way to 15th. And last year, Cam Newton contracted COVID. Is that even the word, contracted? He got COVID. And of course, with him getting COVID, before he got COVID, Cam Newton was having a career year. He was looking great. He was throwing in the upper 60 percentile, like 60% as far as his completion percentage. Cam Newton was playing really well. We remember the game against Seattle, even though they lost on the last play of the game. Remember, he threw for like 329 or 330. Cam Newton was looking really good before COVID. Then, of course, he got COVID and pretty much derailed the whole season. He came back. It just didn't look right. His completion percentage went down. He just looked bad. And a lot of that can be assessed to, like I said, you got COVID. The Patriot organization is a historically tough organization to deal with. It's tough to learn the plays. Bill Belichick is a no-nonsense person. It's structure, the system. It's recognized as one of the toughest organizations to join when we talk about the NFL. But Cam Newton did it. And, of course, last year, Cam getting COVID, like I said, derailed the season. And you draft Mac Jones, and Mac Jones is the perfect quintessential quarterback for the Patriots. The Patriots is used to a quarterback that's not really mobile, that's a pocket passer, that's smart, understands and knows how to read defenses, knows how to, get players open, knows how to throw players open. He's used to a Tom Brady. Now, I'm not saying Mac Jones is Tom Brady. I'm not saying Mac Jones will ever be Tom Brady. Tom Brady's the GOAT. I'm not putting that expectation on Mac Jones. But Mac Jones is, and I've said this a while, and people have said this, Mac Jones is if the Patriots wanted to build a quarterback, if the Patriots team was on Madden and they were building their ideal franchise quarterback, it will look a lot like Mac Jones, because that's what they're used to. That's what that's where their successes come from. They've the Drew Bledsoes and, of course, the Tom Brady's. They're used to that type of quarterback. So you knew when he fell all the way down to, I believe, 15, that the Patriots were going to get him. But we're talking about Cam Newton right now. Cam Newton, as we know, his career ended with his career in Carolina ended with him being released, I believe. And then it took, he got onto the Patriots late in the season. And everyone knew, Cam Newton was not the ideal quarterback for the Patriots. We knew that Cam Newton just didn't look like what the Patriots are used to. We knew that. But that doesn't mean that Cam Newton couldn't thrive. You know what I mean? And like I said, before COVID, he looked really good. And why am I talking about last year? Because a lot of people are saying, one big reason why he got cut was because of his play last year, as well as, I guess, preseason. Even though he looked really good in the preseason. Mac Jones looked good as well, but Cam Newton looked really good in the preseason. The reason why, I believe, the biggest reason, I think there's multiple reasons, but the biggest reason why I think that Cam Newton was released was due to his COVID slip up this year. There's nothing that you can do. I mean, you can try your hardest to not get COVID last year, but I mean, it was tough. You're in a contact sport. You're around a whole bunch of people. Your family's around a whole bunch of people, and there was no vaccine. That's the biggest thing. There was no vaccine last year. There is a vaccine this year. Now, I'm not here telling people to get the vaccine. I'm not here to tell people not to get the vaccine. I think you should do what's best for you. I think you should do what's best for your family, whatever you feel that is. I am vaccinated. That is what it is. I am vaccinated. I'm around the work industry that I have. I'm around multiple people from multiple ways of life, and I don't know what they're doing, and I'm trying to keep my family safe. So I feel the safest thing for me is to be vaccinated. Some people do not feel that way. Cam Newton, I guess, does not feel that way. Carson Wentz does not feel that way. Kirk Cousins does not feel that way. There's people in the NFL that are not getting vaccinated. Here's the problem, though. And we're going to stick to just the Patriots. The Patriots is a no-nonsense organization. Now, I'm not saying that Cam Newton's bad. I'm not saying that Cam Newton is just terrible. But what I'm saying is this is a no-nonsense organization. I'm also not saying that Cam Newton is like a problem. But again, this is a no-nonsense organization, and this is an organization where you need to be available as much as possible. And again, it's different when you get COVID last year. There was no vaccine. You can't really do nothing about it, and it is what it is. But if you get whatever happened with the testing and everything between Cam Newton and which made him miss the 4 days a week or two ago was the straw, pretty much, in my opinion, that broke the camel's back for that. I mean, last year, and I think this is where you start. You ever talk to somebody and they have a lot of, that's it. You ever talk to someone that lies a lot? Like small lies, not big lies, like small lies, and then they just continue to do it. Like they're habitual liars, but it's not like they lie about huge things. They just lie about small things, like they went to the store. Where'd you go today? Nowhere. It's like, and it continues to pile up, and then you let it go. It's fine until they start lying about important things. They start lying about things where like it's important. Then those little lies that you just let go start to get a little heavier, and it's just like, bro, this is ridiculous. I can't do this anymore. That's where I think the Patriots was last year. Cam Newton struggled after COVID. Last year he got COVID. Last year the Patriots missed the playoffs, first time in God knows how many years, and they were willing to let that go because, again, it was new, and they didn't have somebody that was nipping at Cam Newton's ankles. You didn't have, you had, what was it, Jarrett Stidham, and you knew they kept trying to get Jarrett Stidham because they would bench Cam Newton a couple games, and Jarrett Stidham would come in and look god awful. So you knew they didn't have a person that could really come and challenge Cam Newton. Enter Mac Jones. See, the thing about this is, again, I'm not here to tell people to get the vaccine, to not to get the vaccine. But what I'm saying is, you're starting to see vaccine mandates from teams. Hell, the Washington Nationals in baseball, and I think the Astros are two teams that I know for sure have mandates saying, hey, look, we're not kicking you out the league. I mean, you're good enough, whatever. But if you want to play here, you're going to have to get. It's mandatory to get vaccinated. These NFL teams are pretty much private companies. They have an owner and everything. They're private companies, so the owner can be like, "Yo, they have to be mandated." Hell, you see Washington football team. They're trying to get like that. And it sucks that he got cut, but again, man, this vaccine thing is serious. especially for a team that has no nonsense and your availability is the best thing for them. And especially when there's a quarterback battle between him and Mac Jones and it's close. Cam Newton didn't lose his job because his talent level just dropped. Because if you look in the preseason, he played incredibly well. The problem is Mac Jones played incredibly well too. And that's not really a problem. But Mac Jones played incredibly well as well. And with Mac Jones playing incredibly well, your margin for error is a lot less than somebody that has or that Jarrett Stidham is your backup quarterback. Not to mention, again, when the organization is used to a certain type of quarterback and you just are a completely different mode than what they're used to, there's going to be a lot of pushback. You see a lot of, former Patriot players coming out, against or for Mac Jones. Even if the quarterback position was close, you're going to go with someone that they're used to. Do I think Mac Jones is the next Tom Brady? No. Do I think that we should deem him that? No. Do I think that Mac Jones is good enough right now to get the Patriots to the playoffs? I don't think so. Especially with the news with Stephon Gilmore, who was their best defensive player, on the PUP list, and so which means he won't be able to play until week 7, and that's if he's completely healthy. It sucks, man, but people are taking this vaccine seriously, and especially, and I said it last episode, when your job is on the line, what are you going to do? Do I think Cam Newton, in my opinion, is still good enough to be a starting quarterback, and that's why cut week is so tough, man. It's like, especially for quarterbacks, no one is going to try to bring you, unless you're like really garbage. So if Cam Newton probably goes to, Houston, they don't really care. But no team that is good enough to at least be in the playoffs or good enough to think that they're playoff bound, no team is going to pick up a starting quarterback 2 weeks into the season or 2 weeks before the season starts, which means you're going to have to uproot the entire game plan for that quarterback. So it's really looking like if and probably when let's say if Cam Newton gets picked up again, he will be a backup quarterback until the foreseeable future. Again, man, availability is your best skill, especially in the NFL and especially in times like this with COVID. And when you have a quarterback battle as close as it was between Cam and Mac Jones, a lot of things that maybe were allowed to let slide when you didn't have a serious quarterback battle, they're not going to let that slide anymore. I think that Cam Newton is, and I think you're going to see this for a lot of people. You're going to have to get vaccinated. Hell, I forgot the player, but there was a player that pretty much continued to get these fines are going to start. I think they're going to start fining, and I think probably 2022, you're going to see majority, if not all, of the league have vaccine mandates. Because again, what happens if you're out for 10 games or 10 days or 14 days or whatever because you get COVID, and in those 14 days you lose 2 games, and those 2 games cost you the playoffs? Teams ain't gonna like that, bro. So I think that the question is Cam Newton, what's next for Cam? Because again, we've already stated that he's, to me, in my opinion, he's still good enough to be a starting quarterback. I mean, again, he's a former MVP. He went to the Super Bowl. He's Cam Newton. So I think that he's still good enough to be a quarterback. But there's going to have to, again, 2 things is going to really have to happen. I think teams are going to start looking at him because the last thing you want is a backup quarterback that's bigger than the room. The backup quarterback is supposed to be there just in case, pretty much like the emergency safe, whatever. Like, we're not really supposed to use you until really needed. So you're not really supposed to be heard. You're not really supposed to be seen. No, you're not. Nobody's really supposed to know who you are unless you're like a big fan of the team, because you're the backup. So Cam Newton's really gonna have to swallow a lot of pride and be like, "Yo, hey, yes, I was a former." Just because you're a backup now doesn't mean you will be a backup moving forward. It's just now you're a backup. I also think that, the way that not only the league is going, but the way that the United States is going, man, I think that he's probably going to have to get vaccinated. And I know that's a sensitive subject now, and I know that a lot of people don't feel that or won't get vaccinated. That's cool. All right. But as we're seeing, and you're not there, the Patriots aren't going to chop it up to it was because he was unvaccinated. But that was, I mean, a lot of reports are coming out saying that was pretty much the final straw. The COVID misunderstanding where I think he got an outside test, and because you got an outside test, you have to like be quarantined for 5 days or whatever. And that was the worst time to be quarantined for 5 days, because that week was the joint practice with the Giants, which is very important because, I mean, you're playing against other people, so you're going to go a lot harder because you're playing with people that's not on your team. And Shannon Sharp said it best, man. You don't want to give somebody, especially now, of course, you don't wish for anybody to fail. That's not what you don't wish for that. But you don't, especially in a quarterback battle, you don't want to give somebody extra reps and give the coach extra time to see them like, he looks really well, especially when the quarterback battle was as close as this was. So now, again, and it goes back to the lying analogy, all the stuff that probably, you just let sweep under the rug last year starts to grow a bigger pile, and you're starting to notice that pile a lot more. Like, oh, wait, Cam Newton only had 7 passing touchdowns or 7 touchdowns all last year and 10 interceptions. Cam Newton had a below 55% completion, or no, below 60% completion percentage. Cam Newton caught COVID, so he missed some time, which really, and Cam Newton was never the same after that. And even, and this is the thing I don't understand. And again, everyone has their reasoning whether to or to not get the vaccine. So, hey, I'm not here saying your reasoning is bad. I'm not here saying it's good. I'm just talking from my perspective. I don't understand. If you would have gotten COVID, I didn't get COVID, still got the vaccine. Thank God. I don't understand, how does a person or people that have gotten COVID and got it, because I remember Cam Newton was saying that COVID hit him hard. Lamar Jackson, COVID hit him hard twice. How is it that I don't get people that have gotten COVID? How is it still a question if you're going to get the vaccine? You know the effects that COVID has. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. It's weird. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for Cam because, again, he is this is a tough time in the season to bring on another quarterback. It's different for a linebacker or a running back or a wide receiver or a lineman. It's different. Well, maybe lineman's a little bit the same, but it's different for a starting quarterback or a quarterback in general because, again, you pretty much know if you're going to an organization right now, 2 weeks before the season starts, September 9th. Thursday night football. The last thing that you want is to bring on a starting quarterback where you're going to uproot and change the whole offense in 2 weeks. So what's next for Cam, man? I don't know. There's a lot of teams. I mean, if you really want to go start right away, I mean, you can go down to Houston, but I don't want to see Cam playing for Houston. Like, Houston's garbage. They don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, even though I think a report came out saying that they're going to try to keep him. I don't know what's going on there, but you do have Tyrod Taylor. I have absolutely no idea who their backup quarterback is. But if Cam, I think that you're going to start. Cam's going to have to get vaccinated, man, if he wants to continue to be a quarterback in the league. Because, I mean, who else? Who else can Cam? You can try to go to the Giants, but the Giants, their organization is big on vaccines. You can try to see if Ron Rivera wants to pick you up and go to Washington, but we know how important the vaccine is to Ron Rivera, seeing as though he had cancer. And Cam Newton could have got picked up before he went to the Patriots, and Ron Rivera didn't do it. So I don't know. You can go to, what's another team? See, here's the thing. Here's another thing. And we knew that the Cam Newton era for the Patriots wasn't going to last long. We knew that. Did I think it was going to last only one season? I thought it was going to last a little longer. But we knew the Cam Newton era in New England was not going to last long because, again, New England is used to a certain type of quarterback, and Cam Newton didn't produce a level of success that they're used to last year. Now, again, Cam Newton he wasn't going to win the Super Bowl even if he didn't get COVID, but not making it to the playoffs definitely hurt, especially, how the season started compared to how it ended. It hurt for sure. But the thing about it is, and the thing about backups, right? The thing about backups is the backup quarterback has to pretty much, their game has to be damn near close or spot on or identical to the starting quarterback. Now, they're just not as good. What do I mean by that? You don't want your backup quarterback to be drastically different from your starter because you don't want to have to drastically change the offense from one quarterback to another. That's why when Lamar Jackson started, that's why Joe Flacco had to go. Because Joe Flacco his game is absolutely nothing like Lamar Jackson's. And now I think it's Huntley. I don't remember. I think it's Brent Hundley or something. That's why if you look at the Ravens backup, if you look at Lamar Jackson's backup, you saw in the preseason, he plays damn near identical to Lamar Jackson. That's why there's a quarterback battle in San Francisco between Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. They play very similar. If you look at damn near every team in the NFL, look at their starting quarterback to their backup, they look drastically the same. I'm not going to say drastically the same. They look pretty much the same. Of course, one is drastic. That's what I meant. One is drastically better. One's drastically better, but their skill set is pretty much the same. You don't want a mobile quarterback as a starting quarterback, and then your backup have no mobility at all, and is just a pure pocket passer. You would have to change your whole offense. And I think that's another reason why, we kind of saw the writing on the wall when they drafted Mac Jones, because Mac Jones and Cam Newton's game is completely different. Completely. So, and they're not trading Mac Jones, bro. You just drafted him 15th. He's in Alabama. Nick Saban and Bill Belichick have a relationship. You drafted him that high. You're not about to cut him. So Cam Newton was pretty much the odd man out in this situation. So I don't know what's next for Cam, man. I hope this isn't the end of his career, but again, and I don't think it is, but it's tough, man. At least I don't know if we'll see him this year. Let me say that. I don't know if we'll see Cam Newton as a quarterback this year because, again, I don't know what's going to happen with the whole vaccine. I don't know if he's going to get vaccinated. If he doesn't get vaccinated, do teams really have the patience for him? Do teams really have, or is a team going to bring him in? Because, again, I think Cam Newton's still good enough to be a starting quarterback. It's just, again, the Patriots aren't going to say it, I don't believe, but I think him not being vaccinated was the final straw, and the biggest final straw. And it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate to see a talent like Cam Newton get cut, man. But on the same thing, when you're not vaccinated and you have the season that you had last year, again, people say it wasn't just the vaccine. Don't get me wrong, because if that's the case, Lamar Jackson would be cut. Carson Wentz would be cut. Cole Beasley would be cut. Kirk Cousins would be cut. There'll be a lot of people cut. So if it was just not having a vaccine, hell, Lamar Jackson doesn't have a job right now. Lamar Jackson. It's Cam Newton not having the vaccine, or not wanting the vaccine, or not getting the vaccine, plus the COVID misunderstanding hiccup, the testing hiccup a week or two ago, plus the fact that Mac Jones looked better than a lot of people expected and outplayed Cam Newton in the preseason. Now, we outplayed Cam Newton in the preseason because he had more reps than Cam Newton in the preseason, in my opinion. But he outplayed Cam Newton in the preseason and the way that the season unfolded last year after Cam Newton got COVID. So, while yes, COVID to me was a big reason, that's not the only reason. And when you're a starting quarterback, or when you're a quarterback that's in a quarterback battle, the last thing you want to do is give the team ammo or give the team an opportunity to be able to cut you. So, again, I wish the best for Cam. The question now is, we just talked about Cam. Now it's with the Patriots. Are the Patriots good enough to win? Or are the Patriots good enough to even make the playoffs? And I think that has to do with, again, a lot with what their quarterback looked like. What does Mac Jones look like? Again, you can look really good against fourth stringers, people that aren't even on the team anymore. Now, how do you look against an actual NFL roster? The roster's good. I mean, you have a lot of people coming back that opted out of last season for COVID. You have, John Doe Smith, you have Hunter Henry, you have Nelson Aguilar, you have Kendrick Bourne. You have a lot more pieces than Cam Newton did last year. And your offensive line is still really good and still one of the best offensive line in the league. It's really how I don't know if Mac Jones is ready to lead a team to the playoffs, of course, but this team is a good team. It's a solid team. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I don't. The worst part about it, honestly, and the part that's the toughest for me as far as to answering the question, is Mac Jones good enough, is the AFC in general. The Ravens is tough. Just because they added another game, to me, you're going to have to win at least 10, especially in a division with the Bills, who a lot of people can argue is the second best, if not the first best team in the AFC. You have the Dolphins, who their defense is still a really good defense. I think they were the one of, if not the best scoring defense last year. Plus, what happens if they get Deshaun Watson? And then, of course, it's not just that division, because, I mean, after that, it's what? The Patriots. And, It's again, in the AFC, it's not just them. It's all right. So we know they're not going to win their division. We know that. There's no way. I don't think Mac Jones will even be close to being as good as the Bills, being as good as Josh Allen. So no, I don't think he's going to win the division. So now you're going to have to be one of those extra teams. You're going to have to be one of those teams in the AFC. But again, you have the Ravens, you have the Steelers, you have the Browns, you have the Colts, you have the Tennessee Titans, you have the Chargers that can sneak in there, you have the Chiefs. I don't see an avenue for the Patriots and Mac Jones winning or going to the playoffs. Their defense is cool, yeah, woo. But other than that, even in that, I know you bring back Van Noy, you bring back a lot of people, but Stephon Gilmore's out, so I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. But well, the age of Mac Jones is here. The age of Mac Jones is here, and well, this is what they wanted. This is what the Patriots wanted. The Patriots, you don't want to go if you go into the season with a quarterback battle. That means you don't have a starting quarterback outside of the 49ers. That's just different. But even the 49ers, yeah, if you go, because think about it. If Jimmy G was that much better than Trey Lance, do you think there'll be a quarterback battle? If and I'm not saying Trey Lance is garbage, but clearly he wasn't able to create that much separation because, again, he's a rookie. There's a lot of things that you can't scheme for until you actually play a real team. A real actual roster. Same thing with Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. A lot of people believe Justin Fields is the starting quarterback, but again, there's not much. It's different playing a preseason than in the regular season. So, the age of Mac Jones is here. We'll have to see what happens, and again, I hope that Cam Newton lands in the best position for him, because I know it definitely. I just don't want this to be the end of a career. If Cam Newton doesn't come back, because he doesn't want to get vaccinated, I think that's incredibly crazy in my opinion. But hey, I don't know, and I'm not saying that's what he said or that's what he's gonna do. I'm just saying I hope that the reason why Cam Newton does not get a job again is because he doesn't want to get vaccinated, not because of his skill level, because his skill level is still good enough, in my opinion, to be a starting quarterback. So we'll have to see what happens, man, moving forward for both Cam Newton and Mac Jones and the Patriots. So we'll have to see. Moving forward, so I had to check real quick. So I'm continuing my divisional breakdown. We have two more divisions left. We have the NFC East, and I believe we have the NFC West, North, South. Yeah, we have the NFC West, but we're gonna do the NFC East today. This division, man. This division. Now, this division. This division is tough. This division is tough because it's wide open, not in the best way. And I'm not saying this division is not like wide, like it's not like the AFC. The reason why we're finishing with the NFC West is because the NFC West is the best division in the NFC by far, and you can argue the best division in football. The NFC East, though, it's crazy when anyone talks about the NFC East, because remember the glory days, man. I think the NFC East, I could be wrong, but I think the NFC East probably has the most Super Bowls I know Washington has 3, Cowboys have 5, Giants I think have 2. So that's 3, 5, 8, 2 is 10. Plus the Eagles 1. That's 11 championships. This division, man, used to be the cream of the crop, right? Like, you had the Cowboys, you had Troy Aikman, Michael Irving, you had Tim Tebow. I'm not Tim Tebow. You have Tony Romo, you had T.O., you had Emmitt Smith. Washington, you had the Fun Bunch, Art Monk, Daryl. You had Santana Moss, Sean Taylor, Clinton Portis. Like, the Eagles had McNabb when he was good, Michael Vick, T.O., and then the Giants, Michael Strahan, Eli Manning. Like, this division is crazy. When you look at this division now, it pales into comparison of what it used to be. But let's talk about it. Let's start with the Eagles, which in my opinion is the absolute worst team in this division. And it's not just because they don't have the players. I know they just traded for Gardner Minshew, but it's not just the Eagles can't get out of their way. The Eagles ruined their relationship. The Eagles organization, whether it was the coach, whether they ruined their relationship with Carson Wentz. In fact, they almost ruined their relationship with ever since Andy Reid left or was out of there. Their relationship has been. Think about it. Let's just look at the last 2-3 years, 2-3 years, 4 years. Carson Wentz is an MVP frontrunner. Eagles look like one of the best teams in the NFL, the best team in the NFL. Carson Wentz gets hurt. Nick Foles has the most historic playoff run ever. Takes them to the Super Bowl, wins. Nick Foles gets a statue outside. That instantly causes a quarterback controversy. Nick Foles is out of there. Carson Wentz, they draft Jalen Hurts. Carson Wentz doesn't like that. Carson Wentz demands a trade. Oh, actually, Carson Wentz continues to get hurt, demands a trade, gets traded. They fire the coach. Now you have Jalen Hurts, and then you say you pretty much let Carson Wentz go because you have Jalen Hurts and you feel comfortable with Jalen Hurts. You then trade Carson Wentz and then say we're not going to it's still going to be a quarterback battle. We're not going to just automatically say Jalen Hurts is our guy. Then why would you trade Carson Wentz? That's neither here nor there. This organization just sucks now, man. From the management to the new coach, this organization sucks. Like, there's not much good I can say. Last year they finished 4-11-1. Again, you have Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. You have Gardner Minshew now, but you don't really have too many. I mean, you have Devontae Smith, who was the player of the year last year at Alabama. You have him. Outside of that, Darius Slay. They have pieces. That's the thing. They have pieces, but for some reason, none of these pieces can stay healthy. You remember Alshon Jeffries? How he continued to get hurt? Hell, they have Zach Ertz still on the team, and Zach Ertz has been wanting out of that organization since after they won the Super Bowl. So I don't understand why Zach Ertz is still on this team. But it's I don't know, man. They don't. This team, like, you have Ryan Kerrigan, you have Jason Kelsey, you have Lane Johnson. But again, these players continue outside of, well, Ryan. These players, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a curse. I don't know what it is. But every single year, the Eagles are one of the most injured teams. And the thing is, last year or 2 years ago and last year, I could say that the Eagles are one of the most talented teams in the league. The only problem is they kept getting hurt. From their whole offensive line pretty much getting decimated from injury. Their whole wide receiver core getting decimated from injury. A lot of big defensive names getting decimated with injury. Jason Peters pretty much falling apart and leaving. Like this, there's not. I mean, their best players. Yeah, I mean Darius Slay's cool. Okay, Gardner Minshew's cool now, I guess. Devontae Smith, rookie. I'm excited to see what he looks like. Jalen Hurts, okay, cool. Kayvon Wallace, okay. Miles Sanders, who, I mean, third year, he's not the best. Boston Scott, both of these, by the way, are pretty short running backs. This team is not good. This team will finish. Look, you heard it here first. What's today? Friday, September 1st. This team, the Eagles, are going to finish last in the division. Zach Ertz don't want to be there. You have Dallas Goedert, Fletcher Cox, another player who's been decimated from injury. Now, when Fletcher Cox is on the field, he's pretty good. I'm not going to hold you. As well as Darius Slay. Like, when they're on the field, they're good. But they can not as much Darius Slay as it is Fletcher Cox, but they continue to get injured. So it's just like I don't see much wins, man. I don't see much wins, especially now. I do this sometimes. I started this maybe a couple episodes ago, but let's look at their schedule. Let's look at the Eagles schedule. Let's see. Week 1, Falcons. I think that's pretty even. So I'll give it to the Eagles, I guess. So that's one win. San Fran lost. Dallas lost. Kansas City lost. Carolina Panthers lost. Tampa Bay, big loss. Raiders lost. Detroit, you can win that game, so that's 2. Chargers lost. Broncos lost. Saints lost. New York Giants, divisional, who knows. Jets, you could beat the Jets. Washington, probably lost. Giants again, probably lost. Washington, lost. And Dallas. So this team, I only count, 3, maybe 4 wins again? So it's, oh man, I don't know. I don't know. This team's not good. The team's not good, and I don't, I don't, I don't, I don't see the from the management to the head coach, who's a new head coach, to the way that they're maneuvering their players. I don't know what's going on with this team, honestly. So I think the Eagles are going to be pretty bad this year. The division is wide open because it's not the best division. Don't get me wrong, but I do think that there is a clear cut worst team in this division, and that's the Eagles. Hell, at this moment, I think they have the worst quarterback, and that's no. I mean, shouts out to a former another Jalen. Shouts out to you, but the only. Well, I think it's no. I don't think he's better than Daniel Jones. I don't think I'm sure he's not better than Ryan Fitzpatrick. Even though I don't. We'll talk about it in a second. Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he's definitely not better than Dak Prescott. So the Eagles are going to be bad this year. I'm going to just be real. The Eagles are going to be pretty bad this year. So let's go over to the Giants. The Giants, I don't know how to say it. The Giants, man, they have pieces. The Giants have probably the second best, actually, I'll say they have the best offensive core in this, offensive weapons. I mean, you have Saquon Barkley, you have Kenny Galladay, you have Darius Slayton, and you have what's his name? Sterling Shepard, and you have Evan Ingram. The only problem is Evan Ingram, he be dropping the ball a lot. And this team deals with a lot of injury, just like the Eagles. Now, not as much as the Eagles, but Saquon Barkley missed pretty much the whole year. I think he was out after game 1 or game 2. It's this team is cool. It's just, the offensive line sucks. The offensive line is horrible. And Daniel Jones, and this is why I was a little questioning if Daniel Jones is better than Jalen Hurts, is because Daniel Jones has games where he's incredible. Daniel Jones looks like a really, really good quarterback. Then there's games where he holds the ball for too long, has unnecessary sacks, throws unnecessary picks. It's like, what are you doing? You know what it is? I think that this team, this is the year. And when I say this is the year where, teams have grace periods. Like, you're gonna stay with a quarterback. You're gonna stay with a good player if the organization around him isn't the greatest. Their offensive line hasn't been good, no, and their offensive line is a little better, but it's not top tier. But you cannot. There's no more excuses for Daniel Jones at this point, because if you look at the offensive core, they have the best offensive core. You have the best running back in the division. You have the best receiving core in the division. That's kind of rivaled with the Cowboys, but you have the best receiving core, in my opinion. So it's like, it's up to you. You get Kyle Rudolph. You have John Ross. Like, these are quality people. So it's like, and we know that their calling card has been defense. Their calling card was defense when they got, when they won 2 Super Bowls, even though they had Eli Manning. But it's always been defense, and their coach now is a big defensive guy. So their defense is good. Jason Peppers. You have a lot of people. Jabril Peppers, I'm sorry. This is a defensive-minded team. And on top of that, you have Daniel Jones and that incredible offensive core. So this team could, the reason why, let me say this team, if you really look on paper, this team should be viable for the best team in the NFC East. The problem, and the reason why a lot of people don't, is because they don't know about Daniel Jones. And I think this is the year. When I say this is the year, I'm not saying this year he's going to blow up and just be incredible. This is the year where you're going to find out if they're going to continue with him or not. Like Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, that year was last year. You brought in Odell Beckham Jr., even though he did get hurt. You brought in Jarvis Landry's still there. You have Nick Chubb, you have Kareem Hunt. It was on Baker Mayfield, and while they didn't win a Super Bowl or get to a Super Bowl, they get to the playoffs first time in God knows how long, and they beat the Steelers in first time, and they almost beat the Chiefs. So it's like that last year was Baker Mayfield's year to say, all right, either if you can't get it done with this or look good with these pieces, then we're gonna have to move on from you. Like, that's just what's gonna be. I mean, it was the coach at first. You're coaching on that coaching thing's trash. You didn't have any pieces. We got you the coach. Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year. We got you the pieces. Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, the tight ends, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. We got you the pieces, and they went to the second round of the playoffs. This year is for Daniel Jones. We get you Kenny Galladay. We get you Kyle Rudolph. We get you Darius Slayton. You have Saquon Barkley back. You have John Ross. You have Evan Ingram. You have Sterling Shepard. These are really good pieces. So it's like, if you don't, not to mention the defense is good. So if you don't make it work here, then it's not. If you don't make it work with this caliber people, where there's top quarterbacks that don't even have this core. So if you can't make it work with this, then ain't nothing much we can do with you. So don't be surprised if Daniel Jones does not look good or doesn't play well. Don't be surprised if this time next year he's not on the team. I don't wish that on anybody, but don't be surprised, especially with people getting cut left and right. Do not be surprised, because again, this is not the time for that. You gave him the car. Now let's see how he drives it. So I can't. It's hard to make a prediction with the Giants because they have the pieces to be the best team in the NFC East. It's just on Daniel Jones. Can we trust? And has Daniel Jones been that person that we know, even with this talented core, can they lead them to the playoffs? And we'll have to see. I think that at least get to the playoffs this year. That's what has to happen for the Giants. Because again, you add another game, you add another playoff team, you have to at least make the playoffs. If not, do not be surprised if they move off of Daniel Jones. Do not be surprised. Especially, hell, we just talked about the news with Cam Newton, maybe with Deshaun Watson. Do not be surprised, because I'll tell you this, if Deshaun Watson, even though the offensive line did get better, so if Deshaun Watson had this roster, they'd be in the playoffs for sure. If Cam Newton had this roster, they'd be in the playoffs, in my opinion, for sure. So I think the onus now is, okay, we'll have to see what Daniel Jones does. And I think that's all we can really wait and see when we talk about the Giants. So let's go over to Washington. The Washington football team finished 7-9 last year. I don't know how to tackle. No pun intended. I don't know how to tackle the Washington football team, man. It's like, we know what they are. What they are is right in front of our faces. Now, I know that seems, wait, what? I know. But just hear me out. We know what Washington's going to be. Anyone that's watched football for God knows, or ever since Ryan Fitzpatrick has been in the league, we know what the Washington football team is. We know who they're going to be. We know this. Washington football team has, in my opinion, and arguably the best defensive front in football. You have Chase Young. You have Sweat. You have Deron Payne. You have Allen. You have now Jamie Cott. Like, they have one of the best defensive fronts in all of football. They have decent a decent back. You have the rookie Collins. You have Kyle Fuller. Like, you have some good pieces. Their defense is elite. Their defense is A1. Their defense is going to be the best part about Washington. The question is, and what the question has been for a while now, is their offense. Yes, you have pieces. You have Terry McLaurin, who I think is criminally underrated in the NFL. You have Antonio Gibson, who had a breakout year last year. Then you have Ryan Fitzpatrick. Let's have a conversation about Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick has moments of. That's why he that's why he has the nickname Ryan Fitzmagic. We know the last second throw he had last year against the Raiders. He's had some incredible moments, We remember what the game he threw 400 yards or something the first game against the Saints one year. Ryan Fitzpatrick has been incredible at moments. There's a reason why Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think, has been on like 9 or 10 teams in his career. There's a reason why every single place he goes, there's a quarterback battle. Or he goes into the season as a backup. Ryan Fitzpatrick has his moments, right? But Ryan Fitzpatrick is not a starting quarterback. He's just not. Let me say this. Let me retract that. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a starting quarterback. He is a starting quarterback. But if you want to win, like if you want any hope of winning a Super Bowl, of going deep in the playoffs, Ryan Fitzpatrick is not a season-long starting quarterback. That's why when this offseason, all we were hearing about was maybe Mitch Trubisky would go to Washington, maybe Cam Newton would be good at Washington, because Washington has the pieces. It's just they haven't. Alex Smith, we know what happened with the injury, but even Alex Smith at his best is more of a game manager. Hell, he was like he's not going to. You know what he is? Alex Smith is a better Teddy Bridgewater, as far as he's going to do all the right things, but he is not going to risk anything. He doesn't have the greatest deep ball. He's not even going to throw the ball deep. Really, he's a good solid system quarterback, but he's not going to just launch it downfield. He's not going to really put you in harm's way, but he's not going to risk it. And then you had Allen, who got hurt. Hell, I'll say this. A Ron Rivera led team. We know they're going to be incredible defensively. That's Ron Rivera's calling card, pretty much, his defense. Hell, he got when the Panthers went 15-1 with Cam Newton. A lot of people don't talk about how incredible their defense was with Luke Kuechly and all them. But this team, just like the Giants, is only going to go as far as Ryan Fitzpatrick takes them. And I have damn near no faith that Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to take them far, because we've seen Ryan Fitzpatrick as a starting quarterback. There's a reason that if you start this, there's a reason why majority of the time, if Ryan Fitzpatrick starts the season as a starting quarterback, he does not end the season as a starting quarterback. There's a reason for that. There's nobody, again, it goes back, I hate to keep going back, but it goes back to the Cam Newton conversation. Nobody wants to uproot and change their entire offense for their backup. But teams have had to do that with Ryan Fitzpatrick, because Ryan Fitzpatrick has started the season as a starter, and somewhere down the line, he gets benched because that magic wears off. The Fitz magic that everyone talks about, it goes to hell quick. Hell, he was playing incredible for the Dolphins, and they still benched him for Tua. And the worst part about that was Tua was not ready, and they still benched Ryan Fitzpatrick. Bro, they benched Tua a couple times during the season, and then Ryan Fitzpatrick came back. It was like, oh, okay, well, he's good, but let's slide Tua back in there. But the same thing happened with him and Jameis Winston. That's why I was so adamant that let me say we. You know what's funny? Side note, a little tangent. Why do fans take ownership in their teams? Like it's like either they're part of the team or they own it. Like anytime I'm talking about a team that I like, either it's Washington or I don't know, North Carolina, I always say we. Like I'm part of the team. I always say we, like I go to their 5 a.m. practices every day. It's funny. Or I'm in training camp with them. But back to what I was saying. I think fans do that a lot. Fans do that definitely a lot. They take ownership in their team, so they integrate themselves in the team, so they say we a lot. So, but back to what I was saying. This team, I mean, Chase Young. To me, Chase Young is the best player in this division. I know that's crazy when you have Zeke, you have Dak, you have CeeDee Lamb, you have Terry McLaurin, you have Saquon Barkley, you have there's nobody on the Eagles. Maybe Fletcher Cox. But I think Chase Young is the best player in this division. I know he's coming out of his second year, or this will be his second year, but Chase Young is the best player in this division in my opinion. Sweat, Payne, Collins. Hell, this defense is so good. You let a team favorite in Ryan Kerrigan go, and nobody bat an eye because and Ryan Kerrigan still has years left on him. So we know this defense is going to be good. To me, you have the best player in the division in Chase Young, and the defense is not. I mean, Kyle Fuller. Their defense is going to be okay. Their front is going to be damn near amazing. Like you have all first round picks. It's really their back end, but I think that has been improved. It's just Ryan Fitzpatrick. We know we're going to see explosive offense. We know we're going to see him sling and throw the ball all over the place because that's his calling card. He did that when he was with the Dolphins. He did that when he was with the Bucks. He did that everywhere he's been. He's going to sling the ball everywhere. So if you're a fantasy and you haven't had a draft yet, don't be scared to pick up Terry McLaurin. Don't be scared to pick up Ross. Don't be scared to pick up Antonio Gibson. But the question is when, in my opinion, because the definition of insanity is doing the same exact thing, expecting a different outcome. That's the definition of insanity. It's insane to think that in year how many years has Ryan Fitzpatrick been playing? Give me a second. I'm gonna look this up because Ryan Fitzpatrick has been in the league for a minute actually. I forgot we have Curtis Samuel. It'd be crazy for me to think that in let me see, Ryan Fitzpatrick. In year 18, it'd be crazy for me to think that the Ryan Fitzpatrick that we've got for 17 years, or 17 seasons, let's say this, the Ryan Fitzpatrick that we've gotten in 17 seasons is automatically going to change. Or out of the blue is going to change, and he's going to be a consistent quarterback for the entire season. That to me would be insane because we've seen what he's going to be, even with talent. Hell, you think the Dolphins team didn't have talent? You think the Bucks team didn't have talent? You think there was no team in 17 seasons that didn't have talent? And Ryan Fitzpatrick has been to how many playoffs? Let alone how many teams out of those 17 did he start compared to finish as a starter? That's the question. Oh, that's nasty. I'm looking at the roster right now, and they have Ryan Fitzpatrick and then Eric Flowers. Oh, man. Washington. That's the thing, man. Washington has the best, in my opinion, the best player in the division in Chase Young on the defensive side of the ball. But I don't know if they'll be good enough to win win the division. And it's because the way that they win the division is leaning heavily on their defense, which they did last year. Lean heavily on their defense, and Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't lose it for them. I don't know how many games he'll win for them, but doesn't lose for them. That is how the Washington football team is going to win. And we'll just have to see, because they weren't allotted any breaks either. Like they have, I mean, you start the season with Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Then 2 weeks later, week 3, you have Josh Allen, the Bills. Then 3 weeks later, you have what's his name? You have Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Next very next game, you have Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Then week 10, you have Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. Week 12, you have Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. Oh, and not forget that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 weeks straight of divisional football, and that's at the end of the season. So they did not give this Washington football team any, and I mean any breaks. So I don't know. It's really on. I'll say this. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick, an offense led by Ryan Fitzpatrick, will look different and better than one with Alex Smith. Seeing as though he has more of an arm, more of a cannon. I'm trying to end this, trying to end the Washington jump with some positivity. Ryan Fitzpatrick has a better arm than Alex Smith. I think his accuracy is a little better than Alex Smith. He's a little more mobile than Alex Smith. He's not being, don't get it twisted. He's not really mobile, but he's a little more mobile than Alex Smith was, especially after the injury. And I mean, we have some solid players. We have Terry McLaurin, who's again one of the better receivers in my opinion. Antonio Gibson, one of the better running backs in my opinion. We have some pieces. Logan Thomas, who I think is a top, I know it's crazy to say, but I think he's a top 10 tight end in this league. Brandon Sheriff, who's an incredible offensive lineman, probably one of the best offensive guards in the league. Curtis Samuel that we got from the Panthers. I mean, we got some players, man. We got some players. It's just it's just how far is it going to take it? J.D. McKissick, who is a pretty much dual threat running back. He's not as good, don't get me wrong, but he's kind of like the Alvin Kamara, as in he can run and he can also catch pretty well and has really good after the catch yards. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what Washington does, man. We'll have to see what Washington does. I think that their defense definitely is good enough to be in the playoffs. Again, and I can't stress this enough, I think that they have the best player in the division in Chase Young. But we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. So, and then we get to America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, Team Hard Knocks. This team, man, this team is very easy to evaluate. It's very easy to evaluate because they've been the same exact team since I can remember. As far as they're really good, really talented team, but they get in their own way. They'll get close to us. They'll get close to resemblance or looking like a Super Bowl team. They'll get a game away, or they get a game away, and then Dez Bryant doesn't have a catch, or this is the year, and then as unfortunate as it is, Dak Prescott goes down, or they get smacked by a team, or they lose games that they're supposed to win, or their defense is god awful. Like, this team has, you have Van Der Esch. I think Jalen Smith is like garbage now. I know he's your middle linebacker, but Jalen Smith has not been good for a while now. Jalen Smith didn't look good or didn't even shine in at all in Hard Knocks. He looked just bad. this team, like DeMarcus Lawrence, who ain't really been that good since he got the money. Randy Gregory, he's been okay, maybe ish. Their defense. I think they were one of the worst defenses in NFL history last year. Honestly, no, I'm like you can look it up. I think they were one of the worst defenses in NFL history, and I don't know. This is a big year for them, though. I mean, you come back. You have Dak Prescott coming back healthy. You have the best quarterback in the division, hands down, and you have really promising pieces. I mean, Zeke, from what we're hearing, is in the best shape of his life. CeeDee Lamb is, at least in Hard Knocks, looked like this could be a breakout year for him. Amari Cooper's still there. I think they released Gallup, but you still have Pollard. Like they have some really good pieces. Greg Zuerlein is a really good kicker. You have Ced Wilson. Like they have some pieces. Malik Turner. It's just it's just how far is that going to take them? Again, you have the best quarterback in the division. How far is that going to take them? And Mike McCarthy. I don't think Mike McCarthy is good enough to really be a head coach anymore. I think that 1 year or that one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers definitely is the wing under his sail, or wing under his the wind under his wings. Let me say that. And playing alongside Aaron Rodgers all those years, or no, coaching Aaron Rodgers all those years definitely is the wind under his wings. But even we saw last year, there was a lot of times where he looked and it felt like he was in over his head as far as a head coach. So I'm excited to see what Michael Parsons looked like. He looked really good he's their first round pick. He looked really good in Hard Knocks, and I was one of those people that thought that it was either going to be him or Patrick Surtain going to Dallas, and it was him. So I'm really excited to see. And this team, the Dallas, their defense has to be better than last year. Like, that's saying something. Like, their defense has to be better than last year, because last year they were god awful. Like, absolutely horrible. There's nothing can be as bad as last year. So I want to see how their defense bounce back. And I want to see now, it is alarming. It is a little scary that Dak Prescott has not done any preseason. Hell, you saw Lamar Jackson do preseason. You saw Patrick Mahomes play a lot in the preseason. You saw Tom Brady play a lot in the preseason. I don't remember. I think you may have seen Aaron Rodgers. No, you didn't see. I don't think you played. But you saw people play preseason. And this is Dak Prescott, who hasn't played meaningful football since his injury to his ankle last year. So I do want to see, it is a little alarming, especially with the whole shoulder and everything, and how they're saying that his injury can be season or linger the whole season, especially when the biggest problem was his ankle. So I don't know what's going to go. There's a lot of question marks with Dallas right now. I will say this. The reason why they have a solid team, and I think what's really helping them still is that they're in the NFC East, because imagine throwing them in the NFC West, that gauntlet. Oh hell, the NFC South. Like, the fact that in the NFC East they have a chance, and that's unfortunate about the NFC East, but this is how it is. They're not the worst division in football. They're not the worst division in. Are they in the worst division in the NFC? They're not the worst division in football. Let me just say that, but it is one of the lower tier divisions. I'll say that. So that's what's helping them. And again, you have the best quarterback when healthy, and Dak Prescott is just and you have one of probably the second best running back in when he's playing like he can play, and when he's playing the best of his ability. You have Zeke. You have an incredible wide receiver core. Like I said, CeeDee Lamb, Wilson, Cooper. So I think that because you have the the best quarterback in the division. I think they have the best shot, in my opinion, to win the division, and that's the Cowboys. So when I'm looking at the rankings, it's very easy. The bottom, very bottom, I'm gonna say the Eagles. Then the question honestly really is, how far is okay, I'm gonna go Eagles, then I'm gonna go the Giants, just because we don't know how good Daniel Jones is gonna be. And some of a lot of their player, or some of their big players, as far as Saquon Barkley and Sterling Shepard and players like that, are coming off injuries. So, their best player, let me say that, their best player in Saquon Barkley is coming off of a huge injury. So we need to see how he bounces back. Then I'm gonna say Washington, because I think Washington has the capability, because of their defense, to be the best team in the NFC East. It's just we need to see how long that the wind is going to keep Ryan Fitzpatrick's sails afloat. Because once Ryan Fitzpatrick goes down, I mean, you have Allen as your backup. That's not doing much for you. So, and maybe, hell, who knows, knock on wood, we might get Cam. I don't know. But so I'm in Washington, and I have Dallas, because they have the best quarterback in the division. And even with that, they still have a really good wide receiver core. They have a good running back when he's in top shape. And their defense cannot be as bad as it was. Their defense, they have a good offensive line, but their defense was one of the worst defenses in NFL history last year. So there's nothing but up. So that's my ranking: the Cowboys, Washington, the Giants, and the Eagles. So that's the NFC East. And of course, next episode, we have the last division we'll be talking about, which is the NFC West. NFC West. That's the the Rams, the Cardinals, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. So that's next episode. Moving forward. So what I wanted to do, again, before the season starts next week. It starts September 9th, Monday night or Thursday night football. It is the Dallas Cowboys against the Bucks. And I wanted to give a couple lists before I go. I mean, I know I've been breaking down the division and everything, but I wanted to give my lists. I have two lists, maybe three. This episode, I'm going to give my list of just the top 10 players in the NFL. I know that the ESPN, NFL.com, they released their top 100 players. I know ESPN or Bleacher Report, one of them too, they did theirs, and I want to do the Unpopular podcast. I want to give mine. Now, no, mine are not going to, this is my top 10 players in the NFL going into this season. So, of course, a lot of it is going to be what happened last season. Most of it's going to be what happened last season and what I think is going to be this season. So, this is my list. If you don't agree, you can definitely leave it in the comments. You can hit me up about it. We'll definitely talk about it. I don't mind. I love conversing with my audience. So, this is the Unpopular podcast top 10 players in the NFL. At number 10, I have TJ Watt. I think TJ Watt was probably the most important player for Pittsburgh last year. Of course, you remember them going 11-0 before kind of the train came off the rails. But even with that, TJ Watt was good the entire season. TJ Watt, I even argued, had a really strong case to win the Defensive Player of the Year last year. Now, of course, we know it went to Aaron Darnold, but I was one of those people saying, TJ Watt was a huge factor for this or for the Pittsburgh Steelers team. And the fact that he stood out with the defense that had Bud Dupree before he got hurt, that had Minkah Fitzpatrick, and he was I think he was like top 10 in sacks, or no, top 5 in sacks, top 5 in the flat. Like, he was that good. And TJ, I'll say this: yes, he's one defensive player, linebacker, but if he's not playing well, it doesn't matter what else is happening. The team is at a huge disadvantage, and they possibly might not win if he doesn't play well. And that's how good TJ Watt is. When you have to double and triple linebackers. And not to mention, he is fast. He is one of the fastest linebackers in the league. So, at number 10, I have T.J. Watt. At number 9, I have Derrick Henry. I mean, what can we say about Derrick Henry, man? Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a beast. Derrick Henry is a monster. Derrick Henry is, I mean, I think he's the, what was he? He was first player or 8th player to surpass 2,000 rushing yards in a single season. Like, the thing about Derrick Henry is, and a lot of people really underestimate his speed, because he is a huge dude. Like, he is big, and the fact that you couple his size with his speed makes him arguably, in fact, makes him, in my opinion, the best running back. Now, I understand Saquon Barkley was hurt, so that definitely affects a lot of things. But this is a really good, I guess, season or really good time for running backs. I mean, you have Derrick Henry, you have Saquon Barkley, you have you have Alvin Kamara, you have CMC. But last year, going into this year, to me, Derrick Henry was the best one. And hell, when you become the 8th player to do something in the NFL, like, and it's a good stat, that's, yeah. And the fact that he was a big reason why the Tennessee Titans were as good as they were last year, because his running, along with his power, his speed, allowed us to forget just how not good their defense was. And yeah, I understand A.J. Brown was in it, but now that you have Julio Jones, that three-headed monster is going to be crazy. Brown, Jones, and now and Derrick Henry. That's tough. But Derrick Henry deserved to be on this list, in my opinion. Again, 8th player to average 200 yards. A couple times he had a game-winning rush in the overtime. I know he did it against the Ravens, and I don't remember the other team he did it against, but Derrick Henry's a monster. So I have Derrick Henry at number 9. At number 8, I have Tom Brady. Now, whoa, calm down. Before y'all go crazy, the reason why I have Tom Brady at number 8 is because I'm looking at the totality of the season plus what Tom Brady has. Tom Brady was incredible last year, don't get me wrong. But the beginning of the year, it was really sketchy. I understand that it was a new team. They were learning each other. I get that. I'm not negating that at all. And, of course, towards the end of the season, he got rolling and the team got rolling. Of course, they got Antonio Brown. So I understand that as well. However, what I do know is you have Mike Evans, who is a really good wide receiver. You have Chris Godwin, who's a really good wide receiver. You have Rob Gronkowski, who arguably is the greatest tight end ever. You have O.J. Howard. He was injured last year, but you have him this year. Not to mention, I think the biggest reason, now a lot of people don't want to say it because it's Tom Brady, but the biggest reason they won the Super Bowl last year was, and they went on an incredible run the second half of the season to the Super Bowl, was their defense. Levante David, Ndamukong Suh, their defense was incredible, and that's one big reason why that's one big reason why a lot of people have them winning the Super Bowl again. Yeah, it's because of a lot of it is because of Tom Brady, but a lot of it is also because of the fact that they have one of the best defenses in the league by far. So I think that Tom Brady understands that his arm strength is I'm not going to say it's deteriorating, but his arm strength is not what it was back in the day. Not back in 2003, not back in 2006, not back in 2010. His arm strength is not that strong anymore. So he understands that his mind and his ability to read defenses and to manipulate defenses is his biggest, strongest weapon at this point. And he understands that. And we saw last year, he didn't have a lot of, let me say this. He was one of the leaders in throwing the ball downfield. I think he was like one of the league leaders in pass attempts over 20 yards, but I don't think he completed a lot of them. And you saw in the Super Bowl, he didn't have a lot of hell. You saw in the playoffs in general against the Packers, against the Saints, against the Chiefs. He didn't have a lot of deep balls. It was a lot of dink and duns, a lot of slicing up the defenses. Yeah, he had one big pass to Scotty Miller before the half, but against the Green Bay Packers. But Tom Brady understands that while yes, he's still, in my opinion, a top 10 player, it's his mind, his ability to understand defenses, his ability to manipulate defenses with his eyes and his head. That is what's his biggest and most lethal weapon is now. So I have Tom Brady number 8. Number 7, I have DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, year after year after year after year after year, shows us why he is one of, if not the best wide receiver in the game. I understand it's been an argument. It's been Julio, it's been Antonio Brown, it's been DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, he's what happened to DeAndre Hopkins has the same effect, sort of, that happened. Let me say this. When Stephon Diggs came on to the Bills, it just completely transformed not only Josh Allen, but the Bills' offense. The same thing can be said with DeAndre Hopkins going to the Cardinals. Yes, Kyler Murray's good, and Kyler Murray would be good with or without DeAndre Hopkins. But having DeAndre Hopkins on the team unleashed something. And again, DeAndre Hopkins, we know the incredible catches, the catch he had against the Bills, the catch he's DeAndre Hopkins, man. He has one of the best hands in the league. He is one of the best wide receivers in the league by far. And DeAndre Hopkins, yeah, it's Kyler Murray benefits a lot from playing with DeAndre Hopkins. And that's the reason why he's number 7 in my opinion. And he's just a model of consistency. He was consistent when he was with the Texans, and now he's consistent when he's with the Arizona Cardinals. And going into his second year with the Cardinals, I expect nothing but bigger and better things for DeAndre Hopkins. So I have him at number 7. Number 6, I have Josh Allen. The reason why I have Josh Allen is because Josh Allen was finished, I think, second or third, I think, or MVP voting. Like, Josh Allen went from being one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks in the league to leading the Bills to the AFC Championship. Again, a lot of that is because of Stephon Diggs, but a lot of that is he put in the work, got a good coach, and he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league last year. Like that, a lot of people thought he was good enough to win the MVP, and nobody would have been upset if he did. That's how good Josh Allen was. Josh Allen took the Bills. The Bills haven't been to the Bills have not been to the AFC Championship since Jim Kelly? Like that's how good he was last year. And his ascension and his improvement from the previous year, also kind of like with Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans, Allen's improvement allowed us to overlook how inconsistent and unimpressive that defense is. And the fact that they don't have a running game. The Bills do not have a running game. Josh Allen was their best rusher last year, and he's a quarterback. Josh Allen is number 6 for me. And I think that hopefully he just continues to grow on. I mean, if he continues to grow, I don't really see an avenue in which it's not going to be the Chiefs and Bills going at it for years to come in the AFC. Of course, you can sprinkle in the Lamar and the Ravens and everything, but I just don't see it. So if Allen continues to grow. So I have Josh Allen, number 6. At number 5, I have Devontae Adams. Now, I think Devontae Adams definitely benefits a lot from playing alongside Aaron Rodgers. However, I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers makes DeAndre Hopkins. Don't get me wrong. Devontae Adams, I'm sorry. Devontae Adams had an incredible, I think he led the league last year in touchdowns. Like, that's how good Devontae Adams is. He has a long frame. He's incredibly quick. He's one of the best route runners in the league. He's one of the best pass catchers as far as tough catches. Devontae Adams is a lot of people want to say the only reason why he's this good is because he's playing with Aaron Rodgers. While yes, playing alongside Aaron Rodgers definitely helps, but no, Aaron Rodgers is definitely benefiting with playing Devontae Adams just as much as Devontae Adams is playing with Aaron Rodgers. Hell, as we saw, I mean, we remember when Devontae Adams was out due to injury and how, even though Aaron Rodgers was still good, how shaky that wide receiver court looked. And Devontae Adams definitely proved himself last year. So I have Devontae Adams at number 5. At number 4, I have Russell Wilson. I understand that the end of the season didn't really mirror the beginning of the season, but Russell Wilson was incredible. I mean, we remember the whole let Russ cook movement. Russell Wilson was leading the MVP race until probably halfway through the season. Then, of course, a lot of things went wrong, whether it was injuries to the running back core, the defense. Oh, my gosh. We were talking about how bad the Cowboys defense is. The Seahawks defense was god-awful, even with K.J. Wright, even with Bobby Wagner, even with Jamal Adams, who just got a deal, by the way. But Russell Wilson was good. And we started to see that Russell Wilson, and not just their defense, but their offensive line. Their offensive line was probably the worst, the second to third worst offensive line in the league last year. And you saw Russell Wilson try to overcompensate. You know, he ran out of the pocket a lot sooner than he maybe should have time to time. He was forcing it on every play. So it dipped. But when he was at his best, and at his best, he is a top player and a top quarterback in this league. That's hands down. And again, there was a good period in the season last year where he led the league in for the MVP until until probably about halfway. But Russell Wilson has been good, and Russell Wilson is incredible. And I think along with DK Metcalf, with Tyler Lockett, they still, when you have Russell Wilson as your quarterback, you have a chance to win the Super Bowl. That's the reason why a lot of people haven't counted out Seattle as Super Bowl contenders, because you have Russell Wilson, who is a top quarterback in this league. So I have Russell Wilson at number 4. And number 3, I have Aaron Donald. When the conversation around you is, are you the greatest defensive player ever in a league that had Ray Lewis, in a league that had Lawrence Taylor, in a league that had most of the greatest players in NFL history are on the defensive side of the ball, and the argument around you is could he be the greatest defensive player ever? That's saying something, especially when we look at NFL rankings or NFL.com rankings. We look at ESPN rankings. We look at Bleacher Report rankings. We look at Sports Illustrated rankings, and every single one of them, whether they're ranking top 100, top 10, top 50, every single one has Aaron Donald at least in the top 3. Yeah, no, that really shows you just you're different. The fact that he did win Defensive Player of the Year last year, and he commands double and triple teams. In fact, if you do not double and triple team him, 9.5 times out of 10, if you single coverage Aaron Donald, which I think only happened maybe 10% of the time last year, your quarterback is getting touched, he's getting sacked, something like that, it's not smart. Like, you don't not double Aaron Donald, or triple Aaron Donald. That's how good. That a player at his position getting triple teamed is incredible. And Aaron Donald, I mean, he's even though he's not the tallest, he's big, he's fast, he's ferocious, and he is year after year after year after year after year one of the top players in the league. So I have him at number 3. At number 2, I have Patrick Mahomes. I have Patrick Mahomes because it's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. Like, I don't know what this. I mean, the only reason I have Patrick Mahomes at number 2. I mean, going into the season, you just went to the Super Bowl. They did lose, but I mean, that's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl really showed you how important the offensive line is. Even with a player as transcendent, in my opinion, as Patrick Mahomes is, you need an offensive line. Especially against a ferocious defense that the Bucs have. It's Patrick Mahomes, man. Like, you have Travis Kelce, you have Tyreek Hill, you have McCole Harmon, like you Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like it's Patrick Mahomes. I've seen him live. He does things it's Patrick Mahomes. And I understand it's like, but yeah, you put him at number 2. Yeah. That's because number 1 is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers won an MVP last year for a reason. Aaron Rodgers, 2 years in a row, got the Packers to a 13-3 record and to the AFC Championship. And if it wasn't for them just not being better as a whole, or what happened? So when they went to the AFC Championship against the 49ers damn near ran 500 plus yards on them. That's the defense. Like Aaron Rodgers ain't running the ball. They ran almost 500 plus yards on them. And then last year, of course, Aaron Rodgers wasn't the best, but we know about the fourth down play. I can't not reward the MVP for he was the MVP. So I have Aaron Rodgers number 1. So my top 10 is T.J. Watt, Derrick Henry, Tom Brady, and this is going from 10 to 1. T.J. Watt, Derrick Henry, Tom Brady, DeAndre Hopkins, Josh Allen, Devontae Adams, Russell Wilson, Aaron Darnold, Patrick Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see the season. Like I said, it's next week. So I'm excited to see what the season brings, man. I really am. So moving forward, college football is back. College football is back actually this week. That's another thing, I'm excited for more sports, of course, but it's college. I'm not really. The top teams are going to be the top teams. I mean, looking at it, you have Oklahoma, they're ranked number 1 right now. Clemson, Alabama, and Ohio State. Georgia's going to be in there. Oregon's going to be in there. LSU might be in there. Florida, like the top teams are going to top team. I don't see. I mean, you have Spencer Rattler. He's incredible. The quarterback from Clemson, he has like a long name, but he's really good. Alabama just continues to Alabama. You have Keandre Thibodeau at Oregon, who a lot of people think could be a top 5 pick in the draft. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for college football, man. And I think looking up is probably, I'm gonna say the Final Four is gonna be Oklahoma, Alabama, Clemson, and I guess Ohio State. And I have Oklahoma because they have Spencer Rattler, and Alabama in the national championship. So, yeah, we'll see what goes from there. And lastly, before we go, the biggest news in basketball was Rondo goes back to the Lakers. That's just another player that they have to play alongside LeBron James. I think it'll be cool. Now you have him and Russell Westbrook. It didn't work with the Clippers. It didn't. He got bought out by Memphis, and I think it'll be all right. I still think that this team needs a little bit more shooting. We'll see how it looks towards the trade deadline, but I think the clear-cut 2 best teams as far as the 2 clear-cut teams right now is an East division or conference is the Nets and the Lakers. I think they're pretty much on a collision course to see each other in the finals. So now, of course, you still have Golden State. You'll see how they'll go. The Clippers, the Bucks, who just won, the Phoenix. But right now, if we look at just straight rosters, I think it's the Brooklyn Nets and the Lakers. So, but yeah, man, shouts out to Rondo, I guess. Yeah. But there you have it. That has been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I appreciate you guys. If you want an Unpopular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweatshirt, long sleeve, joggers, the link is in the description below. I have multiple colors, multiple designs. Whatever you want, I got. Hey, man, go get you some merch today. Go get you some merch. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so anything will help. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And until next time, much love.